Hello students, today we are going to learn Unit 1.5, a story, The Necklace, by the French writer Guy de Maupassant. Today we are going to learn first part of the story. This story revolves around the necklace and the main character Mathilde. It takes place in France and it belongs to old times. So, there are some French words in this story. But before going to learn the story, we will see some activities which are given in warming up section. Here are some questions in chit chat section. First question: do you like jewelry and ornaments? These questions are personal response questions. So every student's answer may be different. Here, for example, I am giving some answers. You can write your own answers also. So first question, do you like jewelry and ornaments? Yes, we like jewelry and ornaments. Next question, do you like to dress up for special occasions? How do you do that? Yes, it's a pleasure dressing up for special occasions. Our parents always buy new clothes for us whenever there is a wedding or any festival. Next question, what makes a person happy and confident during special functions and parties? When we are dressed up properly and everyone appreciates it, we feel happy and confident. Our way of dressing is one of the essential parts of our personality. So, if we want to be happy and confident during special functions and parties, we must wear proper dress. So, here are some questions. Now, there is one also another activity. You have to write about yourself and also you have to create an imaginary persona, means character, and as that character you have to introduce yourself. This activity you have to solve on your own. Write yourself with the help of the points given in the book and try to create an imaginary character and imagine you are that character and write about yourself. So here are some activities which are given in warming up section. Now we are going to learn the first part of the story, the necklace. First, I will read the first paragraph of the story and then we will see in detail. So listen carefully. The Necklace, Part 1. Mathilde was a pretty and charming girl, born as if by an error of fate into a family of clerks. She had no means of becoming known, understood, loved, or be wedded to an aristocrat, and so she let herself be married to a minor official at the Ministry of Education. Now, this story revolves around this main character, Mathilde. She was very pretty, very beautiful and charming girl, and but unfortunately, she born into a family of clerks. She had no means of becoming known, understood, loved, or to be wedded to an aristocrat. Aristocrat means rich, prosperous person. She born in family of clerks and there is no means, there is no chance of becoming known, understood, loved, or be wedded to an aristocrat. And so she let herself be married to a minor official at the Ministry of Education. So she has to marry a very minor person. She dressed plainly because she had never been able to afford anything better. She suffered endlessly, feeling she was entitled to all the luxuries of life. She suffered because of her shabby, poorly furnished house. She dressed plainly because she had never been able to afford anything better. She couldn't afford rich dresses, and that's why she has to dress plainly, and she suffered endlessly, feeling she was entitled to all the luxuries of life, and she suffered because of her shabby means dirty, untidy, because of her shabby, poorly furnished house. She thought that her house was very dirty, very untidy, and that's why she suffered for a lot. All these things that another woman of her class would not even have noticed tormented her and made her resentful. She dreamed of a grand palatial mansion with vast rooms and inviting smaller rooms, perfumed for afternoon chats with close friends. In place of her, if there is any another woman of her class, she would not even have noticed or tormented. Tormented means intense pain, especially mental pain, and made her resentful. She dreamed of a grand palatial mansion. Palatial means like a palace. And resentful. Resentful means angry. She dreamed of a grand palatial mansion with vast rooms and inviting smaller rooms perfumed for afternoon chats with close friends. She wanted a grand palatial mansion like a palace house. There must be vast rooms, and she invited her friends with chats in that grand house. Yet she had no rich dresses, no jewels, nothing, and these were the only things she loved. She wanted so much to charm, to be envied, to be sought after. She hadn't rich dresses, no jewels, nothing, because she couldn't afford them. She had a rich friend, a former schoolmate at the convent, whom she avoided visiting because afterwards she would weep with regret, despair, and misery. One evening, her husband came home with an air of triumph, holding a large envelope in his hand. "Look," he said, "here's something for you." She tore up the paper and drew out a card on which was printed the words, "The Minister of Education and Mrs. Georges Rampung request the pleasure of Mr. and Mrs. Lozell's company at the ministry on the evening of Monday, January 18th. One evening, her husband came with great joy. He had a large envelope in his hand. He gave that envelope to his wife Mathilde. She tore up that paper and drew out a card, and there was an invitation to this Mr. and Mrs. Lozells, means to Mathilde and her husband, by the Minister of Education. But instead of being delighted as her husband had hoped, she threw the invitation on the table resentfully and muttered, "What do you want me to do with that? And what do you expect me to wear if I go?" Her husband thought that she would be happy after receiving this invitation, but she threw that invitation on the table angrily and whispered, "What do you mean? What do you want me to do with that? And what do you expect me to wear if I go?" He hadn't thought of that. He stammered. Stammered means speak haltingly. Now, look here. I will explain this in Marathi in short. मॅथिल्ड एक अतिशय सुंदर अशी मुलगी, पण दुर्दैवानं एका गरीब कुटुंबामध्ये, एका क्लार्कच्या कुटुंबामध्ये जन्मली आणि त्यामुळं पुढे होऊन कोणीतरी मोठं बनण्याचं, एक श्रीमंत बनण्याचं कोणतंही साधन तिच्याकडे नव्हतं आणि त्यामुळे तिला एका सामान्य अशा क्लर्कशी, ऑफिशियलशी लग्न करावं लागलं. परवडत नसल्यामुळे साधे ड्रेस तिला घालावे लागत होते. तिच्याकडे कोणत्याही प्रकारचं ज्वेलरी नव्हती. तिचं घर तिच्या दृष्टीनं अत्यंत डर्टी, अनटायडी, पुअर फर्निश्ड होतं. एक तिच्या जागेवर तिच्यासारखीच एखादी दुसरी कोणती स्त्री असते तर तिला याबद्दल काही वाटलं नसतं. पण तिला मॅथिल्डला याबद्दल सतत वाईट वाटत होतं. शी टॉर्मेंटेड मीन्स इंटेन्स पेन, मेंटल पेन. तिला सतत ह्या गोष्टीचा मानसिक त्रास होत होता. तिचं एक स्वप्न होतं की मोठं एखादं महालासारखं, राजवाड्यासारखा एखादा महाल, एखादं मोठं घर असावं ज्या ठिकाणी ती आपल्या मैत्रिणींच्या बरोबर संध्याकाळी गप्पा मारू शकेल. तिच्याजवळ असे ज्वेलरी नव्हती, कोणते ऑर्नामेंट्स नव्हते, त्यामुळे ती सतत दुःखात असायची. तिची एक श्रीमंत मैत्रीण होती की जी तिच्याबरोबर तिच्या शाळेपासून होती, पण बऱ्याच वेळा ती तिला भेटायचं टाळायची, कारण तिच्याजवळ या पद्धतीचे कुठलेही ड्रेस नव्हते. ती श्रीमंत होती तिची मैत्रीण. एक दिवस संध्याकाळी तिचे पती एक इन्व्हिटेशन घेऊन तिच्याकडे आले. त्याला वाटत होतं की तिला खूप आनंद होईल, कारण या मिनिस्टर ऑफ एज्युकेशनने त्यांना एका पार्टीचं आमंत्रण दिलेलं होतं. पण मॅथिल्डला या गोष्टीचा आनंद झाला नाही. का? कारण तिच्याजवळ कोणत्याही एखादा चांगला ड्रेस त्या पार्टीला घालून जाण्यासारखा नव्हता. सो शी वॉज व्हेरी अनहॅपी. नाव नेक्स्ट पेज. The dress you go to the theater in, it seems very nice to me. He stopped, stunned, distressed to see his wife crying. He stuttered, "What's the matter? Let's see, Mathilde, how much would a valuable dress cost?" His husband asked him. He was very stunned. Stunned means surprised, and distressed. Distress means disturbed to see his wife's crying. He stuttered. Stuttered means speak haltingly, stammered. He asked his wife what is the reason of her crying, and he also told her that what is the cost of a suitable dress for her. She thought for a moment, computing the cost and also wondering what amount she could ask for without an immediate refusal. At last, she answered hesitantly, "I don't know exactly, but I think I could do it with 400 francs." Her husband asked her about new dress. What is the cost of that new dress? She told that there may be 400 francs. He turned a little pale because he had been saving that exact amount to buy a gun for a hunting summer in the country near Nanterre with a few friends. However, he said, "Very well, I can give you 400 francs, but try and get a really beautiful dress." When she told that she will buy a new dress in 400 francs, he turned a little pale because he had exact that amount of money, but he had to buy a gun for hunting summer. But he was a very considerate husband. So he said his wife to go in the market and try to get a beautiful dress. The day of the party drew near, and Madame Loisel seemed sad, restless, anxious, though her dress was ready. Anxious means nervous. She got new dress. Though she got new dress, she seemed sad, restless, anxious. Why? One evening her husband said to her, "What's the matter? You have been acting strange these last 3 days." She replied, "I am upset that I have no jewels, not a single stone to wear. I would rather not go to the party." So one evening her husband asked her, what is the reason behind her sadness? She said that she was upset because she had no jewels, not a single stone to wear, and she had no ornaments to go to the party. "You could wear flowers," he said. "They are very fashionable at this time of year." She was not convinced. Her husband said her to wear flowers. Nowadays, this is a fashion, but she was not convinced. The next day, she went to her friend's house and told her of her distress. Distress means sadness. Now, Madame Forrester went to her mirrored wardrobe, took out a large box, brought it back, opened it, and said to Madame Loisel, "Choose, my dear." First, Mathilde saw some bracelets, then a pearl necklace. She tried on the jewelry in the mirror. She kept asking, "You have nothing else?" "Why, yes, but I don't know what you like." Suddenly, she discovered in a black satin box a superb diamond necklace, and her heart began to beat with uncontrolled desire. Her hands trembled as she took it. She fastened it around her neck and stood lost in ecstasy as she looked at herself. पार्टीसाठी नवीन ड्रेस तिला घ्यायचा होता. तिच्या पतीने स्वतःला शिकारीसाठी गन घ्यायची होती, म्हणून जेवढी अमाऊंट साठवून ठेवलेली होती तेवढ्याच अमाऊंटचा ड्रेस तिला त्यासाठी हवा होता. पण तो एक समजूतदार पती होता, त्यामुळे तिने तेवढी पूर्ण रक्कम तिला दिली आणि तिच्यासाठी एक सुंदर ड्रेस खरेदी करायला सांगितलं. आता तिच्याकडे नवीन ड्रेस आला होता तरीसुद्धा ती अपसेट होती. का तर तिच्याजवळ कोणत्याही प्रकारची ज्वेलरी ऑर्नामेंट्स घालायला नव्हते. तिच्या पतीने सुचवलं की आत्ताच्या काळामध्ये फुलं घालणं ही एक छान फॅशन आहे, पण तिची समजूत काही पटली नाही. त्यामुळे ती आपल्या या श्रीमंत मैत्रिणीकडे एखादा दागिना काही असेल पार्टीसाठी घालण्यासाठी म्हणून मागायला गेली. तिच्या मैत्रिणीने तिला बरेच दागिने दाखवले, पण त्यातले तिला पसंत पडत नव्हते. शेवटी तिला एक डायमंड नेकलेस पसंत पडला. तो हातात घेतल्याबरोबर तिला तो खूपच आवडला. तिने तो आपल्या गळ्याभोवती घालून बघितला आणि तिला स्वतःलाच बघून तिला खूप आनंद झाला. देन शी आस्क्ड अँशियसली हेजिटेटिंग, "वुड यू लेंड मी धिस, जस्ट दिस?" "वाय, येस, ऑफकोर्स." तिने आपल्या त्या मैत्रिणीला विचारलं की हाच नेकलेस तुम्हाला देशील का? तिची मैत्रिणही लगेच तयार झाली. शी थ्रू हर आर्म्स अराउंड हर फ्रेंड्स नेक रॅप्चरसली, देन फ्लेड विथ हर ट्रीचर. रॅप्चरसली मीन्स विथ अ ग्रेट जॉय. तिने आपल्या मैत्रिणीच्या गळ्यात आनंदाने हात घातले अँड देन फ्लेड विथ हर ट्रीचर. फ्लेड मीन्स पास्ट टेन्स ऑफ फ्ली. फ्ली मीन्स पळून जाणे. आणि जो तिला मिळालेला हा खजिना जो तुला हा नेकलेस मिळालेला होता तो घेऊन ती तिथून आनंदाने निघून गेली. द डे ऑफ द पार्टी अराइव्ड. मॅडम लॉझेल वॉज अ सक्सेस. शी वॉज प्रेटियर दॅन ऑल द अदर वुमेन, एलिगंट, ग्रेशियस, स्माइलिंग अँड फुल ऑफ जॉय. पार्टीचा दिवस आला आणि तिनं जसं ठरवलं होतं तसंच घडलं. त्या पार्टीमध्ये इतर सर्व स्त्रियांपेक्षा ती खूप सुंदर दिसत होती. त्याचबरोबर एलिगंट मीन्स ग्रेसफुल, मोहक दिसत होती, ग्रेशियस दिसत होती अँड शी वॉज फुल ऑफ जॉय. तिला खूप आनंद झालेला होता. शी डान्स्ड वाईल्डली विथ पॅशन, forgetting everything in the triumph of her beauty and success, floating in a cloud of happiness. त्याच आनंदामध्ये तिने सुंदर असा डान्स केला आणि हवेत तरंगतच आनंदाने ती पार्टी संपल्यानंतर आपल्या घरी आली. मॅथिल्ड अँड हर हजबंड लेफ्ट ॲट अबाउट 4 o'clock in the morning. When they were finally in the street, they could not find a cab. They walked down toward the Seine till they found one. They were dropped off at their door in the Rue des Martyrs, and sadly it was all over for her. पहाटे 4 वाजता जवळजवळ पार्टी संपून ते आपल्या घरी यायला निघाले. त्यांना कुठेही कॅब मिळाली नाही. थोडंसं पुढे गेल्यानंतर शेवटी त्यांना एक कॅब मिळाली आणि ते आपल्या घरी आले. पण सगळं काही पुढे संपलेलं होतं. इन फ्रंट ऑफ द मिरर शी टूक अ फायनल लुक ॲट हर सेल्फ इन ऑल हर ग्लोरी. ग्लोरी मीन्स प्राऊडली. घरी आल्यानंतर शेवटचं त्या आरशामध्ये पाहायचं तो नेकलेस घालून, म्हणून ती अभिमानाने त्या आरशासमोर जाऊन उभी राहिली. बट सडनली शी अटर्ड अ क्राय. शी नो लॉंगर हॅड द नेकलेस राऊंड हर नेक. पण अचानकपणे त्या आरशासमोर गेल्यावर ती जोरात ओरडली, कारण तिच्या गळ्यामध्ये तो नेकलेस नव्हता. व्हॉट इज द मॅटर? आस्क्ड हर हजबंड. शी टर्न टुवर्ड्स हिम, पॅनिक स्ट्रिकन. आय नो लॉंगर हॅव मॅडम फॉरेस्टर्स नेकलेस. तिने आपल्या पतीकडे वळून पाहिलं जेव्हा त्यांनी विचारलं की काय घडलं. बट हाऊ वॉज शी? शी वॉज पॅनिक स्ट्रिकन. पॅनिक स्ट्रिकन मीन्स फ्रायटंड. अतिशय घाबरलेली होती, कारण जो तिच्या मैत्रिणीने जो तिला नेकलेस दिलेला होता, डायमंड नेकलेस, तो तिच्या गळ्यामध्ये नव्हता. ही स्टूड अप डिस्ट्रॉट. व्हॉट? हाऊ? दॅट्स इम्पॉसिबल. डिस्ट्रॉट मीन्स व्हेरी वरीड अँड अपसेट. तिच्या पतीलाही काय करावं कळालं नाही. अतिशय अपसेट होऊन, चिंताग्रस्त होऊन त्यांनी प्रश्न तिला विचारला की व्हॉट हॅपन्स अँड दॅट्स इम्पॉसिबल. तो नेकलेस हरवणं ही त्याच्यासाठी एक अतिशय धक्कादायक गोष्ट होती. काय बोलावं ते त्याला कळत नव्हतं. नो हिअर दिस इज द फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द स्टोरी. यू कम टू नो how is this character Mathilde. This is a French story. This is written by a French writer, so there are so many words used in French language. This part 1 of the story. Read this part again and write these new words and their meanings which are given in this video. Write the activities, solve the activities which are given in warming up section. In our next video, we will see part 2 of the story. So till then, okay, thank you.